been this convergence of voices on the right, all simultaneously weighing in on the subject of DINKs, DINK, DINKs. And I had never heard of DINKs. I don't have TikTok, so I wasn't aware of. I mean, I was aware, generally speaking, of depopulation efforts on the part of our elites, to try to seed us with these notions that we shouldn't reproduce so much, if at all. And I was aware that that some unmarried or some married couples are intentionally not having children and taking pride in that. And my tendency isn't to say, well, they're wrong for doing that. They shouldn't. They should have to have kids. Just like my tendency isn't to say to MGTOWs, well, you guys need to just suck it up and find the right girl and get married because we need more white babies out there. I don't have. I'm kind of a live and let live sort of mentality. I guess that what gets on people's nerves about the DINKs is that they're now out there making these annoying TikTok videos where they talk about how much how they get how they get to spend all this money on themselves and go on vacations all the time whenever they feel like it, and they just buy stuff for themselves. And it seems like they're showing a lot of bravado and a lot of pride about something that's really not that great. I mean, it's okay if you want it, but it's just like they're boasting about how, oh, I don't have kids, and so I don't have to put up with all those hassles that you married people with kids have to put up with. And these DINK videos that are pretty annoying, but it's very strange to me that this all got on the radar screen of various people on the right. Matt Walsh, Jolly Heretic, and Paul Joseph Watson all had videos about where they were mocking the DINKs videos. And in Paul Joseph Watson's video, he shows some of Sam Hyde complaining about them, which I don't want to say anything, but Sam Hyde's not married. Sam Hyde doesn't have children. He's nearly 40. Just saying, I mean, I love you, Sam Hyde. I'm a big fan of yours. But just saying, that's something that one can't help but notice. Anyhow, and I don't know about the other. I know Matt Walsh has done his part. I don't know what the Jolly Heretic, what his deal is with having kids, or what Paul Joseph Watson's deal is on the kid front. I think PJW is a single man, if I'm not mistaken, but I could be wrong about that. Anyway, what I'm wrestling with in all of this is, and I mentioned MGTOW earlier, so I kind of, I meant to bury the lead a little bit more, but it seems to me that the red pill types, or just conservatives, getting mad at DINKs for their annoying videos, but not just for their annoying videos. It seems like they see something really lacking in being married and not having children. They see that as a deficient lifestyle. I have 2 children myself. I think they're wonderful. I'm very happy to have had them. I would recommend it personally. Uh, Although your kids won't be my kids, but maybe they'll be almost as good. I don't know. I kid, of course. They won't be. They won't be anywhere near as good. But anyhow, boy, I'm cracking myself up here. Anyway, there seems to be some kind of disconnect because the thing with MGTOWs is they're kind of saying the same thing, aren't they? Well, with them, it's like, I don't have to put up with a wife. Well, a lot of them are saying, I don't have to worry about my wife divorce raping me and making my life hell and taking the kids away. And all of that is, it's perfect. That's relatable. Or not relatable, thankfully. That's understandable. That's something everyone with a heart should sympathize with. But a lot of times it's also just sort of like, hey, the single life is grand, who wants to deal with a woman, especially modern Western women, they're the juice ain't worth a squeeze. And so some of the MGTOW rhetoric kind of sounds to me similar to the DINK rhetoric. So something's got to give somewhere, doesn't it? Because if MGTOWs are a part of this red pill scene, and MGTOWs are cool, and I'm cool with MGTOWs even though I'm not one. I've flirted with it for a while, but I wouldn't label myself that. But I'm MGTOW adjacent in some ways. I guess that, I don't like hassling people about whether they should, about the kid thing, Some people shouldn't have kids. Some people, some people have kids, and that the fact that they have kids is a very unfortunate thing. Their kids would be better off with other parents than them. That's one thing. So if you don't want to have kids, it could be that you're the kind of person who wouldn't make a good parent, and in that case, you're doing a good thing. You're doing the world a favor by not having kids. You're doing any kids that you would have had a favor by not having them. Of course, I think for a lot of people that is a cop-out. I'm sure that's true as well, that some people would make perfectly fine parents and would enjoy it, would love having kids, but who just don't want to do it because it's a lot of work. And then there are also plenty of people out there, despite what you hear, despite the doom and gloom, there are plenty of people out there who say, yeah, I do want to have kids. I hope I have an eye towards having a family. But it's because I'm respectful of people's personal decisions, and I don't think, anyone should, to a point, like, I'm not totally, whatever you feel like doing is fine, kind of guy. But I'm sort of, when it comes to the question of children, I don't think there should be some imperative. I don't think that, I've been critical before about these articles written by people either in white nationalist sites or just a sort of a Matt Walsh, trad sort of conservative sites saying you got to get married, you got to have children because I don't know, the family unit needs to continue. The family is under attack, and we need to we need to not abandon it. We need to be family people ourselves. We need to embrace families. You can embrace families without being one. You can embrace families without, but while still remaining single and celibate. But I guess my thing with all of this is like all of the criticisms of the Dinks, beyond them just what's so annoying about these videos, which is them boasting, like saying, "Ha ha ha! Look at us. We get to do all this stuff, and you guys are it's sort of a we're better than you kind of thing." And it's also like stop getting on our case about not having kids every time we go to a family function. I mean, the thing, the part about that though, I mean, if you are married and you go home to your own mom and dad, and you don't have kids yet, you should expect like that's part of the deal. That they're gonna wonder about that, and they might even ask you about that, and they might maybe sometimes they ask it in a way that's not very respectful of your boundaries or whatever, however you want to put it. Maybe they're embarrassing. Maybe they're their way of talking about it doesn't show respect for you in your own decisions. I don't know, but you can't really expect. It's not fair to say to expect of your own mother and father who know that you're married. It's not fair to expect them not to wonder about when you're going to start having kids. That's part of the deal. You're going to have to deal with that. I think you can handle, getting questions like that at family gatherings, and just shrug it off or laugh it off or do whatever. Even if it's annoying, you can deal with that. But I guess where I'll land on, because I could talk about a lot of stuff here, but where I'll land and bring this subject to a close is to say, ultimately, the ideal is something like what we had in the not too recent past. The family as it existed, say, in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, even into the 60s, and maybe even partway into the 70s. There was still some pretty traditional stuff happening, and some, the sexual revolution, as devastating as it was, it hadn't yet reached every hamlet of civilization in the West. It sort of took a while to filter in to all the nooks and crannies. But and of course there were problems even back then. Of course, the people can say, oh, in the 50s you had people married and they were unhappily married, or men abused their husbands abused their wives, went out drinking and abused their wives. I mean, there was never any tolerance for abuse amongst decent people. Don't let people tell you otherwise. It wasn't like, oh well, just beat your wife go out and get drunk and then come home and beat your wife every now and then. That's not a problem, as long as you don't go overboard with it. I mean, of course, there are things to critique about the family as it existed back then, but it was much closer to the ideal. And we never are at the ideal, but the point is to approximate the ideal. And we were much closer to the ideal back then than we are now. Today, it's just chaos. Today, it's a mess. Today, we have children being born more often than not into a very grim situation. And it's very sobering, especially when you have kids yourself. But that's the point that I want to finish with, is that's what we want to get back to. Now, MGTOWs have a point about, feminism and how the effect that it's had on a lot of modern Western women. Not all, maybe not most, but a lot. A goodly number, let's say, which it hasn't changed them for the better. And you can't just say, well, take your lumps and and take one for the team and go in there and find a wife and get some, because we need to repopulate the world. I mean, it's sort of like an impersonal thing, this whole repopulation. You can't really, I've said before, you can't look at people like they're just pieces on a global chessboard. You can't look at demography that way. It's a very inhuman way to look at people. You've got to take into account individual situations. But that being said, we do want to have, we don't want a society which shames or otherwise downplays the merits of single celibate people. I don't think we should be tolerant of single promiscuous people, but that's just because I'm old-fashioned. I think fornication is wrong. Maybe not as wrong as adultery, but still wrong. I think sex belongs within wedlock. So anyhow, we need to get back to that, closer to that ideal somehow. I don't know how. I don't know what the roadmap is, but it's gotta happen somehow, because the only other alternative is, well, there is no other alternative. The other alternative is what we've got now, and worse, and it's only getting worse, and I think we all know it. And I think the bullshit has stopped. I don't think people are lying to themselves anymore and saying, oh well, it was different it wasn't necessarily better. It was just different in the past, and it's not necessarily worse now. It's just different than it was in the past. No, yes, it's different, and it's worse, and things are crappy. I think more and more people are admitting that. So that all of this just crosses my mind when I see this sudden furor or mini furor, about the DINK situation, the DINK problem. So those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think below. Thanks for watching.